best a man can get.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf. That is the Hall of Famer Chris Carter. This right here is Nick Wright. Good weekend, guys.
Great weekend.
I love it.
So what's up, C?
What up, C? What's happening over there?
Jenna's amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great show.
Yeah, it is.
She was just dragging in here.
Nope.
Oh.
Not me. Nope.
Hey, let's go. That's the Hall of Fame.
That's right. Okay.
Jenna Wolf, by the way, this weekend, and this will be the last we mention of it, ran 8 consecutive 8-minute miles, a feat that neither Chris Carter nor I thought she could do.
Thank you.
She documented it. I'm wildly impressed.
Wow.
So it turns out a lot of this fitness stuff she talks about actually exists. Very happy for her in that regard.
That is our top story today, and we're going to talk about it. I started by stretching.
No. Jenna, I started you there,
gotcha.
so now we can do this.
Got a big show on this
girl.
Monday morning. The Boston Celtics might be the new front runners to land Anthony Davis. By the way, my heart just swelled that you said that, so thank you very much. The Knicks are trying to get into the Kawhi sweepstakes, but we got to start with Kevin Durant. The NBA Finals providing us with 2 riveting stories, the series itself, and the availability of one KD. Will he or won't he play? It's become the question du jour. Trailing the Raptors 3-1 in the series, the Golden State Warriors finally got some good news. KD practiced yesterday and is now listed as questionable for tonight's game in Toronto. Nick, I start with you. Is Kevin Durant's return the only chance the Warriors have at this point?
Given how they looked in Game 4, which I know did not shock Chris Carter, but it shocked me. I thought, listen, this is going to be the best flurry of maybe a fading champion, but still a champion. And instead, it was just a fading champion. And to continue the analogy, the Warriors looked like a shot fighter in that third quarter on Friday night. They have to have a paradigm shifter. They have to have something that they can tie themselves to and say, this is why it'll be different. Even if it's not going to be 39, 5-5 Kevin Durant, even if his minutes wouldn't be 35-plus minutes, they have to have something much like the one series these Warriors have lost, the 2016 Finals to the Cavs. I think the Cavs would have won that series whether Draymond gets suspended or not. But what you hear from David Griffin, what you hear from people in the postmortem of that championship, when they heard Draymond was suspended, there was a feeling within the locker room that, you know what, this could be the thing that changes things, at least for a moment while we get our footing. And that is what happened in that series. They won that game, went back home, then went on the road, the exact path the Warriors would have to go on. They have to have Kevin Durant tonight, not only for on-court purposes, but mentally, that it gives them a reason to believe, Chris, that this game can be different, not than 3 of the previous 4, but than all of the previous 4, because even game number 2, the one game they won that game because they were brilliant for 6 minutes and outplayed for the other 42. So yes, for them to have a chance, Kevin Durant has to play tonight. First game would be since Game 5 against Houston.
What Kevin Durant are we going to get? I think that regardless of what the stats say, I think we can put to bed the question, is Golden State better without Kevin Durant? I think people should stop saying that now. Because if they were, why would they be begging for him to come back? Why would they need him? If they're so much better, if they move the ball better, if they're hard to defend, why? Because they're not. And that's why they're clamoring. That's why you hear players talking about projecting, oh, when he can come back. Clay told us a couple days ago, man, it don't look good if KD can't come back. It's the first time the Warriors in 5 years ever felt that way. Kevin Durant is a special, special basketball player. And we know Golden State, it's been a special situation. But without Kevin Durant, oh, they can be had. They were very, very fortunate this year as far as Houston and the way the bracket fell, that they were playing Portland in the finals. In the Eastern Conference Final, Western Conference Final, I said Toronto Raptors and Milwaukee Bucks were going to upset whoever won was going to. I was picking them in the finals because I thought they were both better basketball teams. The Golden State Warriors, they are not a great defensive team the way they have been the previous 4 years, and even with Kevin Durant coming back, they're not going to be a great defensive team. So I believe the Raptors and the adjustments they have made without a healthy Kevin Durant, even if this goes 7, I still believe Toronto is going to win because KD will not be healthy. He is the only answer that they would be able to have if he was to be able to come back and be 100% And I know that that's impossible.
Because it's not just Kevin Durant. You're going to need something more from Klay Thompson, even though he gave you 28 or whatever it was on just one game back from the hamstring. Steph Curry had to play, lights out and wasn't great in that last game. You don't know what you're getting from Boogie Cousins at all. What would you really need from Kevin Durant in order for them to get back into the series? Realistically, if you know, as C said, he's not going to give you much on defense.
Well, I don't think we need to compare his production to what Klay or Steph would be doing. What they need is a front court threat. That Van Gundy was hammering this point on Friday, and he was absolutely right. It was incredibly obvious for anyone watching to see the Warriors, once the ball was out of Steph or Klay's hands, and Klay, I thought, played really well. Steph struggled a bit until very late when the game was all but decided. But as soon as it went to Draymond or Iggy or whatever revolving door they had at center, all of whom played poorly on Friday night, the offense died. This has been a bad series for Draymond and Iggy not be able to hit shots. It's been a bad series for Boogie to have the one game and then all of a sudden in game 4 look worse than he had in any of the previous 3. The Warriors, it's tough to, the reason people were initially skeptical of this team was, can you win with just a backcourt? That's what people thought. Then Draymond became the player that he was. Iggy showed everyone what championship medal that he has. But right now in this series, Iggy is a lesser version of himself than he has been in any of the 5 other series. Draymond's shot has been broken all year long and is not being fixed in these finals, and all they have is Steph and Klay. So even if KD is just spotting up in the corner, Kevin Durant adds an element to you that makes the Warriors tougher to defend and gives them an extra degree of offense. It's why, even though I had picked the Warriors in 6, that's obviously not going to happen. I'm not going to sit here and say now it's Warriors in 7 because we have 4 games of evidence. Toronto's flatly better. They need something to shift the paradigm. That would be Kevin Durant taking the court.
I just don't see it, though. I don't see a guy that's been out a month of basketball with a torn calf. They said it was a strain, but a strain, you're back before 4 weeks. I'm going to say it. He's got a torn calf, and there's a reason why people that follow the NBA have doubted his returning. There's a reason why someone watched him work out on Thursday before game number 4 and said, man, I don't see him coming back. A guy with a professional trained eye, and I respect his opinion. I've been saying this all along. I thought Kevin Durant was not going to play anymore. So now, even if he's able to come back for game 5, let's not forget Boogie Cousins, because Boogie Cousins gave us a great example of what happens if you miss 45 days. He came back. How many minutes did he play in that first game?
8. Everyone
just assumed, you know something? In game number 2, he's going to be that much better. You know what, Steve Kerr? We're going to start him. How'd that work out? How has he been in the previous games? You cannot miss all of that conditioning. You cannot miss all of that on-court performance that you typically would get late in the season and think that you can join a championship competition and there not be some letdown. Kevin Durant has not been on the basketball court, and he hasn't guarded anyone. He hasn't run 94 feet, 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. He hadn't done all those things. So now we think he can do this 3 times in 6 days? Like, that's what's getting ready to happen? Look, listen, sports is difficult. And at the highest level, it's the most difficult. And the one thing that's troubling to all athletes is injuries, how to overcome them. And there's a difference between a woo-woo and an injury. A woo-woo is what Klay had. A hamstring, he was able to strap it up tighter and play the next game. This is an injury that's had him out for a month. Let's respect where they are, and this is the NBA Finals, and what it would take to be able to muster up the type of performance that he hadn't even been on to get on the court, 0 minutes in over 2 rounds of basketball. So I don't think he's going to have a huge impact.
Woo-woo? It's 2 woos.
Yes, that's what you tell your kids. That's woo-woo.
Yeah, I guess all my kids had hamstring injuries all this time. Time now for Put a Grade on It, sponsored by CarMax. Kawhi Leonard continues his stellar play in Game 4 of the Finals Friday night. Scored 36 points, had 12 rebounds, and a 105-92 Toronto win. CC, put a grade on Kawhi's Game 4 performance.
As good as you can get. An A+, and I know there's certain people that may not want to give Kawhi that because of what happened to him in San Antonio, but those people were all wrong. I'm still waiting on apologies. I'm accepting it. Kawhi don't care, but Chris, I'm taking apologies for all those who've been blasting Kawhi, blasting his name. Oh, those
apologies to Kawhi Leonard, care of Chris Carter.
Yeah, and those who don't even want to say his name, call him by a number. A+. getting ready to be MVP to the finals, then what excuse you gonna have?
A+. I mean, you said it better than I could. He was sensational on both ends, and nothing has encapsulated these NBA Finals than the two possessions. Kawhi Leonard 3, Kawhi Leonard steal, Kawhi Leonard 3, turn a deficit into a lead, and they never looked back. He's been the best player on the court in these NBA Finals, and if we're being honest, he's been the best player in the NBA these NBA playoffs.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up, Kawhi with 2 A+s isn't ready to celebrate just yet. Hear from him. That's next on FS1. You can always check us out on the Fox Sports channel on SiriusXM. We'll be right back.
Next time we say that, Kawhi need a little more energy. You act like
I gave full energy. That was full energy. You tell me something.